Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the 1915 short story called The Pavilion by Edith Nesbit. Her pen name was E. Nesbit. She was very prolific, particularly in the children's genre during her time in the early 20th century. So this short story is in the horror genre. I've read one other short story by her and when I was in a collection called that was put together by Penguin Classics called Man Size in Marble, which I'd like to go back and reread at some point in time. Try to knock it off. I tried to find this short story online, The Pavilion, but I was unable to find it in anything other than its original printing in a newspaper. So that way, it wasn't published like in a novel or something like that, and then later like on like a wiki source reprinted or on Project Gutenberg. So I could only find it in its original newspaper form, and that was pretty hard to read from my cell phone. So I just grabbed the book Evil Roots that we've been doing a deep dive into, the Killer Tales of the Botanical, and just knocked that out instead. She was very prolific. Unfortunately, there's not really a collection that I could find out there of her stuff to give herself some justice. Like I was thinking about picking it up and maybe doing a deep dive into E. Nesbit's horror stuff and so forth, because I've now read two of her short stories and I've liked them both. But that's not something that I was able to find. So I bought this novel, The Enchanted Castle, by her. It's in the fantasy genre. It's a children's novel. I bought that on Amazon, and so that's now in my queue as something that I want to knock out for the future. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with The Pavilion, the 1915 short story that was published in a newspaper for you folks, by Edith Nesbit. So this short story, as a reminder, my reviews are spoiler free. So if you've never heard of it, or if you want to keep yourself and you just want to find out like sort of what this basic beats are, you can do it there. In my collection, Evil Roots, it's about 20 pages long. I read it last night in about probably about like 35 minutes. So it took me just a little more than about a half an hour for me to knock it out last night in the 20 pages that it is in the oversized collection. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to be giving this probably like an 8 minus, like a 7.7 or 7.8 that I'm running up to an 8 proper. It's well written. It definitely was interesting. I like the central conceit of the story and then what happens as a follow-up. Now, there are 4 main characters that follow. None of them are POV characters. We don't have like one POV character with like 3 friends or anything like that. So we'll need to keep track of these 4 characters. And in the beginning, they're introduced very quickly. And so it's hard to keep track of these 4 characters very, very quickly. Like in one paragraph, like you might get like descriptions of like the 2 women characters very, very quickly and so forth. So it's very, there's a lot of characters to keep track of in just 20 pages long. So that's sort of the key concept. They are all 4 together, hanging out, having like parties and balls and dances and cricket and matches and so forth, and croquet games, those sorts of things that are all hanging out at this mansion. And this mansion has a supposedly haunted pavilion and so the person who lived there at that mansion tells the story of this haunted pavilion over the course of the next few pages, and then of course they'll want to stay there. So that's the key concept of what's happening and the central concept and where the name of the pavilion comes from for folks. So there you are. It's basically a haunted pavilion at this mansion, and so that these 4 people are staying at. So there you are. They're all friends. So that is the central conceit then of what's happening in the Pavilion by Edith Nesbit. Now again, I liked it. I'm giving it an 8 minus. But one of the reasons why it's not getting higher is that it's really hard, especially in the beginning, to keep track of these 4 characters, because there's not like one central character, and then we're like, third person limited from that person's perspective, right? And then they write what they think about the other people that'll help us figure out how to think about the other people, right? Or if these different roles or so forth, they're just all a different group of friends. So it's you'll find out more about these people and their relationships with each other will grow over time. So it's definitely cool, but it was a little hard to get into for a page or two before I actually just got past it. So that's why it's a little bit less, but it's well written, it's well published. There's a reason why she was so prolific during her era, Edith was. So anyway, I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read this short story by Edith Nesbit? If so, what did you think about it? If you enjoyed this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There should be a lot more of these to follow up. As a reminder, I try to keep this channel's name. The worst thing about new things comes from the quote from the 20th century by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones. And this is definitely older, 1915. It's older than a century. So this is something that we've forgotten, unfortunately. So I like to try to bring out these things. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives. We're pulled in so many different directions. So that the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.